Hi guys, my name is Sarah Alsammak, known as Sarah Cyclist. I'm here invited by Master Mo to talk about my passion, how my passion started, and all the stories that happened behind the backstage of me getting on a bike. Stay tuned. See you soon.
Hello. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Master Mo Podcast here. And always, today I have to talk about something which is really interesting to dig and find out about, which is basically the passion. A woman who was driven by passion, and she did not let what so-called, I would say, male-dominant industry to stop her from chasing her passion and dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have a wonderful guest, Sarah Alsammak. Welcome to the podcast. And thank you for making time to be here.
Thank you, Mohammed. Good to have you. Good to be here, actually, with you. Finally, sorry.
So, Sarah, as you know about things, and it's been a pleasure to have you in here. But before we jump to what you have done and your achievements and what's you call this? Busy Bee, actually. Yeah. So before we start the journey of Busy Bee, of course, it's very crucial to understand Sarah from the beginning. So, who's Sarah?
Yeah, before I start talking about cycling bees, because this is something new that we started. Not new, I'm only like 6 years. My name is Sarah Alsammak, and I'm known as Sarah Cyclist. Everyone knows me as the girl with the bike. I'm always like riding my bike and enjoy the pleasure of being outdoors and cycling. I'm married to a wonderful husband called Abdullah Aradi. He's an entrepreneur, and I've got a lovely kid who's like 7 years old. And I think she's a copy of me, and not my husband, where he's going to kill me now. I think like the way she looks like me, but I think like attitude-wise it's me. But maybe the face is my husband, so it's a win-win situation. I got introduced to cycling when I was like out in Canada with my dad during his sabbatical in British Columbia, Victoria to be precise. It's a lovely island where people actually like to be there. It's a lot of nature. It's just green. It's just nice. So I remember my dad was renting that house for the sabbatical that we were spending the summer there. And then we were getting bored, myself and my brother. And we asked my brother, I asked actually my dad, can we go on to the downtown using those bikes? And, my dad was like, no, wait a minute. Let me go and ask, ask the owner if that's fine or not, to take a permission.
Right.
So he did. And the owner said, yeah, go ahead. All you have to do is just pump your tire, make sure it's completely fine. And we did that. And that was my first ride ever. Never been on a bike ride before. I was 16 years old. And, the exposure of cycling wasn't there. We had maybe tricycles, but never like two wheels bikes.
Right.
So that was my first time to ride. And I think I was a bit wobbly, but there were like cycling lanes all over the place there.
Right.
And I keep going back to my parents and I say, did I ride a bike before that time? And they're like, no, that was your first time. I was like, but how did you let me go on a bike? Did you really try to get rid of me? And I bounced back and I came back, hey, I'm back. You didn't try to kill me. I'm here. So I don't know, but I do remember that incident. And this is where this passion actually started. We used to cycle on those bikes, then we got our own helmet. I was like, okay, safety first. Okay, let's go and buy our helmets since we can ride the bikes. And then one day in downtown, we're trying to get on the bike to start to go all the way back to home. And I remember there was a bus behind us.
Right.
And I'm trying to get on the bike and I'm looking behind. And my brother is looking, he's like, oh, there's a bus behind us. I was like, yeah, there is a bus. What should we do? And the bus can tell that we are visitors to the country.
Right.
And, we're very hesitant to get on the bike. So he looked at us and, he's in the bus and we're on a bike. And he give us some gestures like, slow down, it's fine, you guys go, and then I'll overtake. So I looked and I'm like, I look at my brother and he's like, what did he say? I was like, I think he said, you guys start and then he will overtake us. He said, are you sure? It's like, I think this is what I read, like his lips. I'm not sure, but I think this is what I read because he waited for us to take off.
Right.
And he did. He gave us some time to take off until I believe, like now, because looking at back time, I think we were wobbly because that was our first time on the bike. So he made sure we actually go in a straight line to make sure we don't hit him. And then he overtook us. And it was amazing. The way he's done it was really nice. And that incident just stuck in my head the whole time. So when I came back to Bahrain and I told my parents, I was like, I really want to try cycling here in the country.
Yeah.
And that's how it all started.
Amazing. And how old were you when you started your first?
So when I started, the first ride ever on a bike, I was 16, in Canada, as I said.
Yeah, 16. So that impression for the first bike or the first time to ride a bike, and when you had that incident, doesn't that create a fear within you?
No, it was excitement. It's exactly the same feeling that all my clients say now when I teach them how to ride a bike for the first time. Yeah. They say the sensation of freedom is amazing. Like, it's just like amazing. So this is how we felt because we wanted to go out downtown while our dad was at work. Right. So it was an escape way for us to go all the way and do something for fun while waiting for our dad. So it did give us freedom. Like literally, that was our freedom to go and have fun during downtown.
Wow, that's really interesting story, to be honest. Okay. And after that, this was your first experience, and after that, you started.
So that was in Canada. So when I came back, it was like a bit of struggle to find a bike because I just wanted to ride a bike to try it in Bahrain. Yeah. And finding a bike was difficult. So the first bike I think I got it was. One day on my birthday, I asked my brother if he can, sort out one of his, friends, with a bike. And, a few of his friends actually ride bikes. Like, it's not very popular between, this kind of like, place, I think. Yeah. So we got the bike and I rode it and I was like, I think I really like it. So I really want to do this, and get my own bike. I got my first bike I remember my friends as a gift. Oh, sorry, fly. Go away, fly. Okay.
Oh my God, this is literally.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. It went. Okay. So I started riding. I got a bike as a present from my friends. The bike was like, I don't know, it was like something that you got it, I think, from the supermarket. It was like one of those bikes where I make fun of them now. And I rode on it only maybe less than a month. And then I went and I got my first bike from the local bike shop here in the country. Right. And I remember the bike shop, when I entered, it was like, it's a Bahraini girl walking in the bike shop. What do you want? It's like, I'm looking for a bike. So obviously they thought I'm gonna have like just a city bike. I'm like, no, I want that one, the thin tire, the drop handlebar. I want to go fast, and that goes fast, which is a road bike. Right. And they were like shocked, with like, okay, here we go. And I bought my first bike when I started working. That's like in 2006.
2006. Wow.
Yeah. I think before that actually, 5. Okay. So I started riding there. And I bought my own bike and I started riding in a small compound here in the country called Awali.
Awali, yes.
Because it's like, I told my parents, it's like, you don't have to worry about me. I'm in a compound where the culture is very used to seeing cycling, girls on bikes. For them, because I had this phobia of me being a girl on a bike, a Bahraini girl on a bike. So that was the struggle. So I didn't want to do it between locals because I don't want to be judged. So I did it in Awali because it's an expat community.
Exactly.
And that's how we started.
Amazing. And when you were starting your first, when you got your first bike, the thin bike, as you mentioned.
Yeah, the road
by
bike.
the way.
It's a road bike, you know. But everyone says, oh, this one that goes fast, you know, the thin tires. So it's the same thing, but it goes fast. So that's fine. I like speed.
Right. And when you first start doing some practices and going on trips on a daily basis to train and stuff like that, were there in your mind any kind of competition or something like that?
No, to be honest,
just for fun. Hobby?
It was for me to release my negative energy from work, actually, because I used to work for a bank, and I'm not the person that can sit in a place. So it was a way for me to actually let go all the office work that I had to do during the bank. So I was at the Awali compound, cycling there, like at least every other day. And I was doing it for fun, you know, and, you know, even like I met a group of expats that I started cycling there with them. And then we started riding actually from Awali all the way down the road to Zalag. Wow. And I'm talking about even before Sofitel Hotel was being built, you know, so I've seen everything. We used to go there every week and we can see it being built. So it's quite really nice. Like, you know, I saw all of this. We'd go to the beach, have like sambusa, potato balls, like cycle bag, go to Banyanchi at that time. Now it's a Bahrain call. Cycle, have breakfast, and overdo the breakfast, and then, oh my God, cycle back, and it was hard. So it was leisure, like a leisure cycling, and we're doing it for fun. Yeah. It's a way to be outdoor and do something lovely. And, you know, and I'm talking, I was cycling, and I was like, you know, literally no Bahrainis around me until this group actually left the country. So when they left the country, this is where we're alone cycling in Awali. And I'm like, oh, where's my friends? You know, I miss my friends, you know. And this is where I actually started riding with a group of Bahraini boys that I met in the local bike shop. And they asked me to tag along. And I said, listen, I'm doing it for fun. I'm not planning to do any races or anything like that. Yeah. And then when I went out on my first ride with them, I realized I actually loved the feeling of pushing on the bike.
Right.
And, you know, I realized like, ooh, that could be something that I haven't, you know, done it before. And that's it. This is where actually racing started. And my first race, I've done it, I think, when I was like 22 years. And I've done it just because I was turning 22 on the 22nd of March. And I thought, you know what? Yes, I'll do that race because I like to do something different on my birthdays. And in this case, I was turning 22 on the 22nd of March. So it's 22 and 22. I was like, it has to be something good. So I did my first race. And, you know, there's categories and I won my own category there. So that
congratulations.
That will give me that thrill of like, woohoo, you know, I love being on the podium.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So how your first experience, because you said it's your birthday eve. So it's in your birthday.
Yes.
And you're going to your first ever race.
Yes.
In your whole career.
Yeah.
You have
my whole life
been there before.
No, that was my first race. And I remember it was a team. So the runner was a good runner. I didn't know that. So, you know, when you go to a race, you know, they give you the brief, okay? A lot of people don't listen to the brief because you're going to just follow the person in front of you, right?
Exactly.
Okay? So we're all guilty with this, okay? We're all, like, with the first time, you know, you just assume you're going to follow the person in front of you. So I remember, you know, I was, like, all over the place, like, getting excited, was, like, getting distracted with so many things to do. And then, you know, the race started, it was a duathlon. So the guy went to run and then comes back. I have to get the chip and then start my ride.
Right.
So what happened? He came so early. He was the first one to arrive. And I'm like, oh no, what do I have to do now? He's like, you just go on the bike. He's like, oh my God, I wasn't listening. Where are we going? So I'm this like, you know, I realized like, oh my God, I do have a really good runner, you know, with me. And then I started like, you know, the ride. So that thrilled me big time and made me alert that I can actually start racing because I like the feeling of like pushing on the bike. Right. The energy that goes into your blood is so good.
Adrenaline when it's reached you. Yeah.
So and this is how I started. Then I started to actually train for races. I did like some local races, be on podium, be very competitive. Like I was like, I know, this girl is faster than me. I've got to beat her on the course. And then, or overtake her. So it's like, all of these feelings, first time feelings on the racing course. It's really like exciting. And then I thought like, let's do something more different. So I started doing some international races. So I started to go outside the country, get my own bike, travel all the way to another country and do a race there. So, for example, I've done a charity ride where I cycled from Budapest all the way to Munich in 7 days on a bike. It was the time that I was actually talking to my husband, and that was the year I actually got married to my husband. He suffered a lot with me being not available because I'm cycling, but yeah. That was like, it was a really big thing. It's called Global Biking Initiative, GBI. I joined another team and I did it. And I was the first Bahraini, actually, a first girl from GCC to do it. And then I felt like this is not enough. I went and did like
this is not enough.
Yeah. So I started looking for like different races,
right?
Like something that I haven't done it, and something different.
Yeah.
So then the next one I've done was like one of the things that I've done was Marathon Dolomites, which is a big race in the Italian Alps where you go up the Italian Alps with another 9,000 cyclists from all around the world. And I'm talking about 30,000 people applied for it, and they take only 9,000 people, and it's only by choice. So I went there, I did it, and I remember everyone was looking at me there. And I'm like, why are people looking at me? While taking the registration, getting the bib. It was a bit weird. Like, I didn't understand. Like, I'm there with my friends, but, what's going on? But obviously, I did look different,
Right.
So then, even the owner, like the organizer, who's like, at that time, maybe 70 years old or 80 years old, was an old guy, was looking. So I was like, oh, can I take a selfie with you then? Everyone is looking. I was like, I'll take a selfie with you. I was like, I don't know, but I didn't know why everyone wanted, to look. Then I realized I was the first Arab girl to actually come and do the race. Yes.
Wow.
So, because I was like, that wasn't like normal. So when I Googled, looked at the statistics, there was no one from the Arab countries.
Oh my God.
So I was really happy that, I was like, okay, now they know that, Arab can do that. And after that, more Arab girls started doing it. I was really happy. So that was a big race that gave me like a different sensation because it's in Italian Alps. It's not flat, it's mountains, and it's proper mountains. It's not like a Bahrain hill that we have here in Bahrain, and we stop it on it,
When you say that, as if we have a mountain, actually.
Exactly, Bahrain is the biggest one we have, and we struggle to get over it.
Right.
And then when I went there, I was like, oh my God, this is a big one. And then I did even I got qualified for a world championship while doing a race in Dubai called Spanish 92, which is a 92K around the country, around Dubai. And you get qualification spots according to your performance. So that year I did really good, got qualified. I didn't go because, my daughter was starting school on the same day. So I couldn't, but it was fine.
Wow, such an amazing story.
So these are some of the things I've done.
Wow, this you call it some of the things, to be honest. I don't see it as a some of the things. I see it like a big things for us.
Thank you.
Now, big question, Sarah.
Yeah.
When you came back to Bahrain, and with such a mentality and a confidence after you done the race, and you have been the first Bahraini or the first Arabic lady who've done so. Yeah. What was your feeling towards others and community?
So I come from an academic background. Like my father is professor in the university, and he believes that you have to always give back to the community. Sure. And you've got to always work hard towards what you're good at. And then I married my husband, who's he built him his own self, right? He started everything from scratch. So I was surrounded with my best two men in my life. I realized, what? Actually, I've seen a lot of my local girls here that are not feeling comfortable to ride on to ride a bike in a group, because most of the groups here are dominated by men.
Exactly, yeah.
So when I started actually, my first time to actually start training after pregnancy, at that time my coach said, how about you train for your favorite race in Dubai, Spanish, and try just to aim for it. And then there's an Ironman here in Bahrain. You can just treat Ironman as a training practice for your big race in Dubai. And I said, okay, fine, I'll team up with someone else to do the run and the swim, and I'll do the cycling. So I started cycling with my friend, Dana, and we used to take photos and videos. I like to take videos on a bike. I'm always like taking videos on the bike and like pictures. And then more girls started to actually ask us if they can join.
Right.
So I was like, you know what, yes, of course you can join. We're just two friends cycling and we like to take pictures. So more girls started to join us.
Right.
And then, I wanted to just start like a WhatsApp group, because it's easier to have one group to talk to everyone, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about 5
one
girls.
Place that accommodate everything.
Exactly. So I was like, you know what, instead of like texting like this friend, separately and saying that like we're starting 5 a.m. from this phase, 5 a.m. It's going to take a long time, right? So I started a WhatsApp group and I called it Cycling Bees.
Cycling Bees.
Cycling Bees.
So wait, hold on 1 second. From where you got this name?
Exactly. So where did that start? It's because of my bike. My bike is called Bumblebee Bee because it's bright yellow and black, right? So they always call it the bee. Even when I used to cycle for the association, they would call it Nahur in Arabic, which means the bee.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm always the bee. So I was like, you know what? And let me write down Cycling Bees, and I'll change it later on. And that never happened. Everyone liked the name because it's like girls buzzing from one place to another place.
It resonates.
It works.
It is working.
And whenever anyone asks about the name, I point at the bike. It's like, we're looking at my bike. It's the bee. This is the bee.
It is.
So this is how it started. More girls started. More girls started to actually ride. The girl, sorry. So more girls started to actually join us because we were the only one. We're still the only one cycling, the only women-only riding group in the country.
Wow.
Because I believe as a girl, you want to give them comfort to ride on a bike. It's not nice to be riding with boys that you don't know.
Right.
Sometimes you have to bend, sometimes you have to stand up.
Exactly.
You don't want your back to be facing, boys,
Understood.
So we give them that comfort, and we were the first group to actually have an escort car behind us.
Yep.
So the escort car can always give them the comfort. If you get tired, you can actually get in the car with a bike and then jump off whenever you feel good. Then the group started to grow, and I was like a bit like, ooh, this is like growing. So my husband came to me and said, why don't you get a qualification, so you get like credibility, I said, oh, yeah, good idea. He said, I know you have the experience, back off with something to prove that you are actually qualified to lead this group as well and qualified as a coach. I said, oh, that's interesting. So I wrote to my coach. And he said, you can actually go to British Cycling in London and get qualification for it. So I applied for British Cycling, got qualified there, and came back to the country. Turns out that I am the first Bahraini woman to be qualified in cycling as well. So that was another big thing that I was like very proud of it, that I am the only one in the country. Sure. And then I started actually coaching people who've never been on a bike to actually feel comfortable to ride bike for the first time with the bike ability courses. So I enabled more girls to actually ride bikes, and this is how our group started to grow.
Amazing. What a really inspiring story. I have not knew that actually, but just let's go back a little bit to the exact moment where your husband told you about the qualification in London.
Yeah.
So
he told me about the qualification, and then the coach told me, you can get something like that in London. So I did go all the way to London.
And how was the experience there in London? Since you mentioned you first want to come back Bahrain with a qualification, I would like to ask you, what's the experience with the colleagues there?
Yeah. So like what was funny, that was my first trip alone without my husband. And that was something big for me because,
and it's in London. It's a big thing.
I was born in Manchester, so it's fine.
Oh, really?
But yes, I was born in Manchester. But to travel without my partner was something big for me. So I traveled there, and I remember the first day of the course, the coach was just asking, where did he come from? Where did he come from? Where did he come from? So everyone is like complaining about, oh, we got the train, we got the metro, we got we drove this long, okay? Because they're all like Brits
and Londoners.
Yeah, so they're all from there. And then they come to me, it's like, where did he come from? I was like, I actually flew in for this course. And they looked at me, I was like, what do you mean? I was like, oh, from Bahrain. He's like, what? I was like, yes, I arrived 2 days ago to make sure I am here. And they're like, whoa, you're dedicated. I was like, yes, I really want to take this seriously.
Yeah.
And I want to get like the right things, to learn about cycling. Mm. And my aim is to actually equip more beginners into the sport. And the course was perfect because it's all based on science and all the things that will give you the comfort to start cycling. And I was so happy to do it and be the first one to do it as well in the country. So
impressive. It's really impressive story. Now, when you came back to Bahrain with high qualification, and you already had started, you mentioned with your friend Dana about the Busy Bee community, I would say, all the groups. And when you came back with a qualification, what was the reaction from the people who discourage you or that looked at you that, oh, this is not for a girl?
So
now, how would you look at them now? It's like, hey, I'm qualified
to start with, even when I wanted to do the group for girls only, I remember my friend was talking to me. She was like, do we have to be like say this? I was like, listen, we always said it was only for girls, and we have to stay on it. Like, it has to be for girls only.
Yeah.
And, when I was in London, I've seen a lot of announcements for rides for girls only. So I said, it's there in the UK. Why are we scared to actually stick to what we said? And, it was hard to actually even tell my friends. I was like, even if it's your husband or your brother, he can't join. It's like, he's my son. It's like, yes, he can't join because he is, at the end of the day, a boy. Okay. Yeah. And I want to make sure it's only girls. So it was hard because you've got to stand up for a lot of your close people and say, no, that person can't join because he is a male and we are for females only. It was really hard. A lot of people thought we're just a group that will end in maybe a year or so, but we've been going since 2016. So it's like a good 6 years from here.
Very impressive.
So it's a lot. But when I got the qualification, this is where I actually started coaching people, to get riding on the bike, and that feeling is so fulfilling because. How many times I've got 60 years old coming to me and they say, we've never been on a bike.
60 years old?
Is it possible for us at this age to learn? Of course it is possible. Age is not a factor. And the look is like, are you sure? I was like, yes. Why do you have to keep telling me your age? I don't care. They're like, no, but we're 60. I was like, I don't care. I was like, I need to know for my statistics, yes. But that's it, You don't have to keep reminding me your age.
Yeah.
So the first time they ride and balance on the bike, if you see the excitement in their eyes, it's amazing. I can't forget it. And now every time they see a bike, they remember me. All the adults I've taught them, they'll never forget me because, they've learned it while they were adult. So that's the thing that I like most.
Wow. And if I would take you to that moment where you feel fulfillment of teaching somebody something and they really start to taking that, yes, we've done it and it's thanks to you.
Yes, of course.
Do you think about the monetary factor, or do you think about the monetary factor that yes, I want to do it on the larger girls or the larger community, or you focus just on the quality of that?
So it's all, I believe it's like now I'm doing one-to-one. I realize people love it when they actually get to know the person. That's why I'm very much active on social media as well, because I want people to know even if you're an athlete, I do have a life as a mom. I do have a life as a wife. I have a life with my friends, So it's like, I'm just a normal person, because a lot of the girls, for example, if they want to start cycling bees, they look at us. They're like, oh, we're not fit. I was like, you don't have to be fit. I was like, but we don't have a skinny bike like yours or a fancy bike like yours. It's like, it's completely fine. You don't have to have a good bike. You don't have to be very fit to start something. Exactly. So this gives them like a nice, like a feeling of comfort to come. And that's what I like, people joining for the first time, believing that this is possible and doable for them. What else? I got distracted. I don't know the people outside. I'm very honest. I heard something. I was like, what?
Right. So, in general, what was your aim when you start building up with the people? What was your aim? Don't you think that?
For me, I wanted to empower more women to actually be comfortable and ride their bike as a lifestyle. I don't like it when people say, I want to do it as a sport. No, you should be able, feel comfortable to ride even around your area. How to be smart around cars. You don't own the road. Like when cyclists go on the road and they think they own the road, no, that is wrong, because you've got to share the road. Yeah. So it's a lifestyle. You've got to know how to act smart around people, around objects, obstacles. Other places, yes, they teach them that cycling is a kind of an obstacle. You've got to watch out for them as a car driver. Yeah. But here, you've got to watch out for your own self. So don't take things for granted. I do recommend people start at different times of the day cycling. Obviously, if it's a rush hour, don't be on a bike because, possibility for you to get hit is higher. So after that is different. But I want to empower more women to feel comfortable that it is okay to ride a bike. If you're fat, it's okay. If you're old, it's fine. If you've never been on a bike, it's fine. Just try it. And if you go by the procedures and it's a little techniques that you do, you will learn cycling and you can get comfortable on it. So I really want to see more girls on a bike. And like last year on our Think Pink ride, the pink ride we've done, we had more than 125 girls on bikes riding for us. So it was amazing.
It is amazing, yeah. Talking about Think Pink, it's actually in October, and during this podcast, it's, as you see, I'll try my best to publish it before end of October, just to give the awareness of breast cancer. It's in October.
Yeah.
Now I had a question.
Yeah.
Since you've done such a big moves and bold moves, I would say, in my opinion, don't you think if you shift your thinking towards focusing on empower girls to be in race rather than empower them to be in a bike? What makes you think that was...
In a race?
Yeah, why don't you think to be, as a coach, to prepare younger generation to be a racer, or going on races?
I believe in majority. So most of the girls want to do a change in their life. For them to actually think of a race won't start now, okay? So when people start racing, it's because they've been cycling for some time, okay? Our culture, community here, and I'm talking about 16 years ago, there were no girls on bikes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
I used to be the only girl in the groups for so many times. Okay. The only girl would be another expat, or my coach at that time was a female. Okay. Yeah. But that's it. No one, no local, nothing. So now, thanks to for the big races that happen in the country, starting with Ironman that brought by Sheikh Nasser. Okay, this is where people actually started to believe that, there are girls on bikes cycling as well. And then this is the publicity helped us to actually feel comfortable. Now, the second one thing that happened in the country is actually COVID. When COVID happened, everyone started to be on a bike. Yeah. Because they started to get bored. Yeah, so you can't.
I remember,
so everyone had a bike. What kind of bike? We had a Trek. What is bike? Well, a Trek was we don't know. It's just a bike. Okay, but everyone had a bike. They started riding without knowing what the type of bike they have. So this happened as well. like that made a lot of the girls start riding or realize that they can't actually ride a bike and they need to learn how to ride a bike. Okay. So I believe if you have majority of people riding around the country, then you're lifting the country to the next level. I believe in riding between the villages. Why? Because I want other people to see a cyclist, to see how they should overtake a cyclist when they're on the road, so less problems happen. I don't go to Zalat as often as other cyclists because it's just a straight road, you can go fast, fine. But what about the others? You are talking about cycling safe, and how to cycle around cyclists. You can't go to a cyclist that's like, oh, you have to have a safety measure between you and the car. Well, if the car is not overtaking you properly, then it's not my mistake, right?
Exactly.
So how can a car know how to overtake a cyclist if that was his first time to see someone riding in front of him, So it is like it's a knowledge, it's a lifestyle. I believe in it as a lifestyle because if you do it as a sport, after a while you get bored and you stop it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But if it's a lifestyle, I'm going to the coffee shop with my daughter on a bike, then I will continue doing this. I'll go to my friend on a bike. I will continue doing that because it's a lifestyle. It's the same thing when someone wants to, for example, lose weight and they do a crucial diet. And after a while, they put it all back on. Why? Because it wasn't a lifestyle. If you do something small, it won't stay. I've been cycling every day, like for the past 16 years.
Wow.
I did not get bored. Even during pregnancy, I cycled. After pregnancy, 6 weeks, I jumped on the bike. I got married, I cycled. Before marriage, I cycled. Nothing stopped me. Okay, because it was a lifestyle. I go around it, time change, places change, yes, okay. Like the groups changed, yes, because it's a lifestyle. You have to accommodate where you are. Like when I just delivered my daughter, I was breastfeeding her, it was impossible for me to start to ride at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Because I was breastfeeding her at 2 a.m., for example.
Right.
Is that possible as a girl? No, if you want to jump on a bike at 5, yes, but you won't be focused and you might have an accident.
And you'll be tired.
And you don't want to be tired on a bike because if you do, you'll fall and there are cars around you. Okay?
Yeah.
And that it does happen between cyclists. They get
True.
carried away.
True.
They don't want to say no to a ride. And then what happens?
Right.
The safety goes.
I think people should know. They should educate themselves when to say no at certain stage. Sometimes saying no is a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, but sometimes they feel like they're getting a little bit bullied by the community. Like, oh my God, And this is the pressure we get it as female. When we get married, they're like, oh, you're going to stop cycling. Your husband is not going to allow you. I was like, I'm sorry. I met my husband while I was dining in his restaurant, of my cycling. Everyone knows our story. It's like, I used to cycle, go have eggs at his place, and that's how we met. He's not going to stop me from cycling, and I proved them. I did actually my races after that as well. I did my Dolomites. I got qualified for a world championship, all after marriage. So everything is possible. It's all about the lifestyle. I work around it. Sometimes he has to go out in the morning. I was like, okay, I'll change it. I'll go riding on another day or in the afternoon. Everything is possible if it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Amazing. What an amazing story, to be honest. Overall, with the depth of information and how you distinguish your passion, I would say, how you distinguish your passion, how you understood your passion, and mold it to a way that it can, for sure, giving back to the community as your father. Just like you mentioned, it's like it's one of the noble things that has to be said in my podcast since I started this journey. It's really inspiring to get to know such a strong feminist story, and what a pleasure to squeeze in such event within that period and era back in time until now. So I'm really amazed because, as you mentioned, 16 years ago, we wouldn't see a girl on cycle.
Yeah.
No, I believe that you are one of the role models who influence the cycling for girls in the kingdom or the island, which I'm really proud to have you here and sharing your story for sure. Now, Just to understand something, when you had understood your passion and the sport and enthusiasm into cycling, were you also interested in other sports, or you were just focusing on cycling and other things?
Good question. So it's like I always tell my girls, you have to find your cup of tea. You know what really keeps you going. I did try other sports. For example, I'm not a gym person. If you take me to the gym, I don't like it.
Really?
I don't like being indoors. So I realized that I'm not an indoor person. I like to be outdoors. I remember my husband thought one day it would be nice to actually try tennis because he loves tennis.
Right.
But I was like, you know what? My aiming is really bad. If the ball comes here, trying to hit it, it's not. And he doesn't understand it. So he was like, why? It was right there. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's nice to have you as a husband, but maybe we should not do this sport together.
You really told him that?
Yeah, right? Like tennis wasn't my thing. I don't like running. Running is not good for me anyway. I'm not allowed to run, but tennis is not good. I tried the other things. Wasn't my cup of tea. I really want to be outdoor and I like speed. So I want something that goes fast and outdoor and actually an activity. So cycling was one thing. Motorcycling is nice when I'm at the back of my husband.
So you just run that.
So I'm happy to be at the back of him because I was like, okay, this is not my cup of tea, So I believe in this. You have to find something that works for you.
Exactly.
When someone learns cycling, they say, woo, I was like, give it a go for a few times before you commit and buy your own bike because it is a commitment, it is an investment. And, there's no offense if you don't like it, to be something regular at it. You've got to enjoy what you do.
Exactly.
And for me, I like outdoors. Even if it's hot, I like it. When it's winter, I like it. When it's raining, I'm like, oh, okay, muddy, nice, I like it.
Oh, really? So no weather will stop you whatsoever?
No, there's a fun in every situation. So when it starts raining, we love it because we go through the mud and we get dirty. And finding all the muddy puddles and get stuck and make fun of my friends, So I like that,
Right.
I like going fast. Like it all depends. I like going on a short ride with my daughter all the way to the coffee shop because she's a little girl. And, seeing her on a bike, on a small bike, cycling, it's very powerful. I feel like good, and people, whenever they see her, they're like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, I know. She's actually 7, but looks like 5, but yeah. Which is good.
I like your laugh, by the way.
I can't hold it,
No, really. No, there is one question in my head. Now, you mentioned that you didn't find, it's not your cup of tea to go to jams. But there is a question, don't you need sometimes, for example, to...
Strength training?
Exactly, strength training, your core, your...
Yes, so, you can do it at home. This is what I do. So I've got my own dumbbells, I've got my own equipment. I can do it at home whenever I feel good. So I go by how I feel. Like today's like, oh, okay, I feel like, I want to go for a swim. But I'll do that like half an hour strength training just to maintain my physique, to be honest, But that's it, But for me to actually commit to a gym, the only time I'll go to a gym and work out there is because I'm sponsored and I need to do some videos there. Otherwise,
really?
You're not going to see me there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I like being a free bird, I would say, on the road.
Right, just you mentioned because you have I heard it in the first of the podcast, but then I didn't want to go depth on it because you mentioned you were a banker.
Yes. So not a banker. I was a banker for 2 years only at the beginning. So I graduated with honors from statistics and physics from UOB. So then I got picked up by the IBF graduate program to work as a market risk analyst in one of the local banks here in the country. I worked there for 2 years, and then everyone got to know me at the bank as the girl who moves a lot. Because I was like, So I did have a bright future there, but it wasn't my cup of tea. I did not enjoy it. So then I had a trip, came back from the trip, and then, I used to do something for part-time. and that was science entertainment for kids. And then they offered me, it's like, would you like to come as a full-time? I said, you know what, this is actually more fulfilling because you're actually like working in giving back to the kids. You're actually explaining science in a fun way to kids. So you're doing birthday parties, science theme, workshops as a science theme, everything, being on stage, doing a lot of shows as a science theme as well. So I actually enjoy that more because I can see the result on the kids, and I love it when they get excited. It's like magic that they know their science. Like I make something fly, they're like, "Oh my God, it's flying!" I was like, "No, it's about air pressure." Okay, and it's all about the difference. It's like if you do fire, there's less air pressure here, more air pressure there. That's why it goes up, for example. So it's all like, in the excitement in their kids' eyes made me going. And I started working for this company called Mad Science for a good 10 years. And I love it. It's a Canadian franchise company here. But it was amazing. So then, when I started coaching, having clients, I had to actually leave them to go full-time, because I had started to have a lot of time to coach. So I thought, my husband said, okay, it's maybe time for you to actually focus on cycling as your new thing. And I did this now. So I moved to cycling, but, I still like what I did. I'm proud of what I've done before with them because it was really exciting and it was giving back. And, when my daughter and my daughter's 7th birthday, I actually asked Mad Science to do the birthday for her because it was super fun. So as a parent, I went back to them as well.
Okay, that's really interesting to know.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah. And also, for sure, I truly understand and truly relate because at the end of the day, when you walk and you're also doing cycling or as entrepreneur cycling, you also need time for your family, you need time for your friends, you need time for baby, your own baby. So I truly understand. And when you say free bird, that ignite my thoughts like, oh, I need to go back to where she mentioned about being a banker. Because at the beginning of this podcast, I was thinking, I want to go deep in and find out more about you and why you started your journey as a cyclist. But sometimes the conversation sometimes leads... Exactly.
It's always like that.
It is. It's really interesting to dig in and find even more of what you have said. And what an amazing career you've been, for sure. Now, if I would ask you for your cycling career, what is your highest achievement that you're proud of until this moment?
Well, I think, I've done a lot of unique races, as I said before. But I am very proud of being recognized as the girl who started cycling in Bahrain. Like any girl, they know I started cycling. I'll give you one incident I was very proud of. A girl got hit by another cyclist on the road in Zalan, okay? And she was on the floor, with a little bit of cut, okay? So a group of cyclists passed, and they're like, boys. So they called me. It's like, Sarah, there's one of the girls here down, one of the bees fell off, I was like, listen, it doesn't have to be one of the girls just because she's a girl. So they assume that any girl is one of my girls. So and I was like, no, I know the girl, but she's not, she was my girl. But I was like, yeah, thank you for telling me, but it's fine. She got sorted. Then another person passed in front of her. They called me. It's like, Sarah, we think one of the girls are here. I'm like, listen, I'm really proud that, you think that all the girls will be my girls, but sometimes they're not, But the possibility for them not to be my girls was really low. So, so I feel really proud of this. Like, someone was complaining about girls on bikes. And then, they're like complaining about me on one of the social platforms. Like, she's the one who's like, got all the girls on bikes. And I said, oh, thank you. You're actually complaining about me, but I'm proud to read that you actually think I am the one behind this. You acknowledge my achievement. I'm happy for this. So I think my biggest achievement was actually getting known as the girl with a bike. the times I get stopped in the mall, you're the girl with the bike. I was like, yeah, my name's Sarah, but I'm like, oh, okay, Sarah. They forgot my name, but it's okay. The girl with the bike, with the yellow bike, right? I was like, yeah, that's me. So it's good. Like, how many times girls actually go to buy a bike and they don't find anything that they like because they want something yellow and something similar to me. So it's really nice that I actually proud of that I actually made this. I like it whenever, like, a lot of people when they come to our house and they see loads of bike stuff. I was like, yeah, I like to collect anything like that with a bike.
Yeah.
But the other thing that they don't know, a lot of my friends or like people know me. They just, when they find something that has a bike logo, they'll send it to me. They're like, Sarah, we found something like with a bike.
Yeah.
And you can find it at Monkey Spencer, for example, at this price. I was like, thank you. And I go buy it. And they send it to me. So it's like being known as the cyclist. And I, like, all my media is all about cycling. And I insist that my page will always be about cycling, giving advices in cycling and all of that. I'm proud of this. I think this is good. They haven't seen it before. I'm proud. I'm Bahraini. I'm proving to people, like, for example, I got chosen as the trick ambassador in the country. Then I realized I'm the only one in the Middle East.
Wow.
There was no Arab. I'm no Arabs at all. I realized when I checked the list for women empowerment in States that they actually recognized me while they were like in the States, like, whoa. And they had a feature of me on 2 pages spread. So I was really proud that I'm actually recognized between international racers. I'm not like an international racer. I'm a local girl on a bike. I always say I'm a local girl with a bike. I believe cycling is a lifestyle. And I got noticed by the big company as well.
Wow.
And, I was like next to the page to like high level cyclists. So that made me, I was really proud. That was, I think, my biggest achievement in my cycling, to be actually recognized internationally for something big like that, to be a trick ambassador. And people were like, how come she's a trick ambassador? I was like, listen, I got chosen because I've been a trick girl for 16 years. I've been giving back to the community for 16 years. I never let go of cycling. So this is a good thing.
Right. I to be honest with you, I feel really bad when such people think the other way around, when they don't appreciate what you have done and they think that you should not be there and they don't recognize your effort, and then they will just, sarcastic, I would say, about, you've done nothing, that's nothing, that's not that something. And these exact people, if you relate that question to them, they're doing nothing.
Yeah,
they were just complaining, and it's like, they don't deserve that, but hey, what have you done?
Yeah, of course. Anything that you do in your community, you get judged. It's all about how you stand up for them. Like, to start cycling 16 years ago and having a bike rack at the back of my car, everyone knew that I'm a cyclist. But then sometimes when a visitor comes to my parents' house and they see the car, it's like, oh, who cycles here? And, depending on the person, my dad will say, oh, it's my son, because it's like, oh, if I tell them it's my daughter, they're like, what? So it depends. So actually having a supportive parents was really helpful at the beginning of my life. And if I didn't marry someone who's supportive to me as well, my cycling could have ended. But because I married the right person, I'm still going. And I managed to do and achieve more.
Exactly.
So it's all about believing in what you do. And I believe in the law of attraction. So if you believe in it, you'll always attract the right people towards you.
True. Very, very true. Yeah. I believe in that as well.
Good for you.
Now, you said about this is one of the noble as well to mention. It's an non-tangible, something to be proud of. And this is really, really interesting. Your answer is drive my imagination to somewhere you couldn't imagine it, to be honest. Now, looking in the future, in the coming years, what is your future plan, or what is the future plan that you want to achieve?
I think, like my husband one day, we're driving around the country. I'm not going to say the place because, maybe someone gets the idea. And then we saw a place and I looked at it. He's like, isn't that a beautiful place for you to actually do like a riding school, for a cyclist. And I'm like, this is amazing. He's like, it was actually a riding place where people actually learn how to drive apparently, but it's left alone. So I wish like I can do something as big as that. Yep. Have bikeability courses in all the schools, be like teach kids how to ride cycling, to ride safely on the road, because this is what I see. And I panic when I see someone who's not riding. And I'm proud to see actually my daughter goes crazy when someone on the road without the helmet. She's like, oh, he's not wearing a helmet. I was like, oh, stop it. Don't say it. It's okay. It's their life. I don't care. I'm not going to talk to them because sometimes, I'm just a girl in a car. But I like this. So I wish we will have more, be able to spread cycling more, on a bigger scale.
That's interesting. So if I would say that was your answer, is that the imprint you want to keep in this world, or to be known as the cyclist, Sarah? This is your ultimate goal for personal?
Yeah, I think everyone knows me as a cyclist. I can't change it anymore. It's too late to think of something else now. It's like, you're the girl with the bike.
Yeah, that's me.
Because a lot of people don't recognize me when they see me outside in the mall, but when they do, they're like, wait a minute. I was like, yeah, I need a bike next to me, so you can recognize me. I want to have all the sunglasses. So I already being recognized as the girl or with a bike. I'm happy that people know me as a coach that makes people ride in 2 days. So I'm really proud of this as well.
Wow.
So so I just want to keep that legacy going on. Like people who when they go on a trip and they send me their picture on a bike, and that their dream came true because of me. That feeling is just amazing.
It's priceless.
I had people knock themselves. Like I had a girl. I remember she learned cycling with me, and then her son sent me a message. He's like, thank you for making Mama actually ride a bike. We're so happy. We're so proud of her. And I'm like, well, this message is just so cute that the son of the girl actually wrote to me. It's just like achieving that. They think it's impossible. I had another girl, I remember during COVID. She came to me and she came in a class, and then she couldn't do the second class. After 3 years, I told her, it's bugging me. Can you just come, for a class? I know you had a difficult time. I was like, I think you're relaxed now. Can you come for your second class? She's like, it's impossible to learn cycling. I really want because of my daughter. She started crying. And I was like, just come, I know that, your husband around. He can hold your daughter and come, And he did.
Oh.
She did come. And I remember she rode a bike. She managed to balance it. And it was during COVID. So she's in a mask, now in a mask. Everyone we're keeping a distance. And we're outdoors anyway. She had a nerve breakdown in the middle of the place. She started crying. Crying like a baby that she actually managed to balance a bike. And I felt sorry because she's on a bike and she's crying her head out. And I looked at her. I was like, I know it's COVID. I was like, oh, listen, I don't interact with a lot of people. All of the people I interact are on the bike. I keep my distance. Do you need a hug? You can go and wash up, after that. But do you need a hug? Because she was crying, as if someone died.
Oh.
And then you're like, yeah, please. And it's like I gave her a hug. She's like, I was like, okay, I can't do more than a hug. This is what I can do. But that feeling was really nice. They'll always remember me, that I made it possible, because she thought she's nobody. She's a failure. She's and she got over that feeling, and people were her family were bullying her because you can never ride a bike.
Yeah.
And she's done it. That feeling is just I can't get over it. That happened 3 years ago. I can't remember. I can still remember it.
I can tell it's just happened last night.
Yes.
I can see it through your eyes and how you say it. And
yes.
it's I can truly believe that the power of changing people and how you feel back. It's not about money always, don't you?
No.
Yeah.
I actually did that class for her for free.
Oh, really? That's even better.
I don't just come because it's bugging me. I need to get over that feeling because I like to see everyone cycling. And sometimes people, need a bit more time to relax. It doesn't happen very often, but when it happens, it's my mission to actually make you get over it. So,
Amazing.
so I actually hunted her down. I was like, please, can you come? I need to find peace with myself. I need to see you riding a bike. And that happened. And, that was like,
Boom. Because you build a confidence within, let's say, how many hours? You built a confidence.
4 hours only. 2 days.
That's 2 days. And
2 days.
You're talking about 2 days, maybe she have been grown for years.
Yeah.
Maybe she's been having this situation for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And imagine what you have done in 2 years. I am sure if she were here at the moment, she would have still cry and say, "Oh, you remind me of that night."
Yeah. I think she'll know I'm talking about her. If she hears this, she's like, "Oh, that's me."
I think for the benefit of the guests and the listeners, it's good to share it, because in this podcast we are sharing stories to inspire, to acknowledge such a strong feminist here in the kingdom, and in the month of October of what a coincidence.
Yeah,
so it's really, really an amazing, and I would push my team forward to release it in October. It should be in October, not more than that.
Yeah, giving the look, he was like, "I'm not looking."
Yeah, I know.
He's hiding, he's like, "I'm not looking."
Acting like I'm busy.
I'm ignoring, I'm ignoring what he's saying, whatever. Yeah.
What did he say? Now, if I'd ask you this question, Sarah.
Yeah, sure.
Who is, and think about this for a second before you answer.
Okay, I'll try to think.
Who's your biggest supporter in the cycling?
This is very difficult.
That's
in cycling, it's my husband and my dad. My husband, I would say. Now.
So you have nothing.
Well, I have to be honest, because he has to put up with all the bikes I have at home. He's got to put up with me going on a bike ride, or he can run away from me if he was, but he did not.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for him. If he wasn't around, in fact, here in the culture, you can always easily get married to the wrong person, and not have a supportive husband. Yeah. And if you don't have someone who supports and believes in you, then your passion will eventually go down. You can go strong, but you need the support of your surroundings. And for me, now it's my husband.
Amazing.
But before that was my parents, before getting married. So it's a phase. I believe in phases, you know? So.
Yeah. Very interesting. Now, what is the advice you would give to the younger generation watching you right now as the first Bahraini cyclist and who achieved big, bold moves?
Yeah. I believe I want them to follow their heart and do what they feel good about. So if you feel good about what you're doing, keep doing it, because you'll achieve more. So that's what I'm saying to you as well.
Very. What an amazing episode. I'm really thrilled for this. Again, Sarah, thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure to have you in. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap up of our podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, you're missing big time. Any final thoughts, Sarah, before I end my podcast?
No, thank you for having me as well. Sorry for the delay. Been a crazy month for me, but I know.
I fully understand.
Sorry, everyone. So I wish you all the luck. Keep going. Do what you believe in, and inshallah, you'll achieve what you like. It will be hard work, but you'll get there.
Thank you for saying that. What a wise word to wrap the podcast. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so after watching this podcast. Thank you, Sarah, once again for your time and your precious time to be here and sharing your story. You inspire tons and tons and tons of ladies. I don't think that this podcast will influence someone, but it's just to give awareness, especially what's so-called the male industry or the male dominant industry, which again. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night and bye-bye.
Bye.